You're 11 years old when you find out you're a witch. Not from your parents sitting you down with warm smiles and explanations. From a stern woman in emerald robes who appears in your living room and tells your mom and dad that you're special. Your parents are dentists. Practical people. They believe in science, in things they can see and measure and fix with their hands. And now they're being told their daughter can do magic. You watch their faces. They're trying to smile, trying to be supportive. But you can see it, the confusion, the distance opening up between you and them like a chasm you'll never be able to cross. Magic, your mom says slowly, like she's trying to taste the word. Our Hermione does magic. The woman from Hogwarts, Professor McGonagall, hands them a list of books and supplies. Your parents stare at words like cauldron and wand and transfiguration like they're written in a foreign language. Because they are. A language your parents will never speak. You're 11 years old, and you've just learned you don't belong to your family anymore. You belong to a world they'll never understand. You spend the summer before Hogwarts reading every book on the list. Then, books that aren't on the list. You memorize spells, history, theory. You read about the wizarding world like you're studying for the most important exam of your life. Because you are. You're about to enter a world where everyone else has had 11 years of knowing, of living magic, of understanding how things work. And you're starting from zero. Your parents try to be involved. Your dad asks questions about your textbooks. Your mom takes you to Diagon Alley, holding your hand too tight in the crowds, looking lost among the robes and owls and shops that sell things she can't comprehend. You buy your wand. In wood, dragon heartstring. Base, 10 3/4 inches. How does it feel? Your mom asks. You want to tell her it feels like coming home. Like you've been waiting your whole life for this piece of wood to choose you. But you just say, it's nice. Because how do you explain magic to someone who lives in a world of facts and fluoride treatments? You can't. So you stop trying. You're 11 years old when you arrive at Hogwarts and immediately realize you're wrong. Not wrong in your answers. You know all the answers. Wrong in the way you exist. The other kids look at you like you're speaking too loud in a library. You raise your hand for every question. You correct the professors. You can't help it. You studied so hard. You know so much. And you just want to prove you belong here. She's a nightmare, you hear Ron Weasley say in Charms. Honestly, it's no wonder she hasn't got any friends. You're in the bathroom, crying, when you hear the screaming. A troll. In the dungeon. Then it's in your bathroom. You're going to die. At 11 years old, you're going to be killed by a mountain troll. Because you were crying alone in a bathroom, because nobody likes you. Harry and Ron save you. They risk their lives for you, even though Ron just called you a nightmare. And you lie to Professor McGonagall to protect them. You say you went looking for the troll yourself because you thought you could handle it. I've read about them, you say, voice shaking. McGonagall looks at you with something like disappointment. Like you've confirmed everything she suspected. That you're arrogant, reckless, too clever for your own good. You take the punishment. Lose Gryffindor points. Earn their friendship. And you learn your first lesson about the wizarding world. Being smart isn't enough. Being right isn't enough. You have to be likable too. And being likable means making yourself smaller. You're 12 when you realize the wizarding world has a word for what you are. Mudblood. Draco Malfoy spits it at you on the Quidditch pitch. He says it like it's poison. Like you're poison. Ron tries to hex him. His broken wand backfires. But you barely notice because you're still processing the word. Mudblood. Dirty blood. Impurtaton. You ask Hagrid what it means later. even though part of you already knows. It's a foul name for someone who's Muggleborn, he says gently. Means dirty blood. Loads of rubbish, of course. Doesn't matter what your blood is. You're as good a witch as any pure blood, but you stop listening after dirty blood. Because that's what you are to people, like Malfoy. Not just different. Not just new. Dirty. Less than. And contamination in their pure magical bloodlines. You go to the library that night and read about Muggleborn discrimination, about witch burnings and the statute of secrecy, about how the wizarding world has been hiding from Muggles for centuries because they're afraid, because they think Muggles are dangerous and inferior. You read about Muggleborn registry offices, about families who've been persecuted, about witches and wizards who've been murdered for having parents like yours. And you realize you're not safe here. You'll never be safe here, because half the wizarding world thinks you shouldn't exist. You're 12 when you get petrified by a basilisk. You figured it out, of course. The monster in the chamber of secrets. You were in the library, researching, piecing together clues while everyone else was panicking. You wrote down what you discovered, grabbed a mirror, went to find Ron and Harry. But the basilisk found you first. You don't remember it happening. One moment you're walking through a corridor, mirror raised. The next you're waking up in the hospital wing weeks later. They tell you you were petrified. Frozen, indina, atibandi and panos omum, and dummy, besi. Essentially dead, but not quite. You were gone for weeks, and the school kept running. Classes continued. Harry and Ron solved the mystery, using your research, using your notes, but they solved it. You weren't there. You couldn't help. You were just gone. When you wake up, Harry and Ron visit. They tell you what happened. How they saved Ginny, killed the basilisk, destroyed the diary. They're heroes. You did the research. You figured out what the monster was. You gave them the answer. But you're not a hero. You're just the girl who got petrified in a hallway, holding a mirror. You're 13 when you get a time turner. Professor, McGonagall gives it to you so you can take extra classes. Because of course you want to take every class. You want to learn everything. This is not to be used lightly, Miss Granger, she warns. Time is not something to be tampered with. You nod. You understand. You're responsible. Trustworthy. You're 13 years old, and they've given you a device that manipulates time itself so you can do more homework. You don't sleep that year. Not really. You're attending multiple classes at once, using the time turner to be in 3 places at one time. You're doing the coursework for 12 classes, while everyone else does 5. You're exhausted. Your hands shake from too much coffee and not enough rest. You fall asleep in the common room and wake up with your face stuck to your Transfiguration textbook. Ron makes a joke about how you're mental. Harry asks if you're okay. You say you're fine. Because what else can you say? That you're a 13-year-old girl who's literally breaking the laws of time and space to prove she's good enough to be here? At the end of the year, you use the time turner to save Sirius Black and Buckbeak. You break about 17 laws. You risk everything. And when it's over, McGonagall takes the time turner back. No thank you. No acknowledgement of what you risked. Just, you'll be taking a more manageable course, loaded next year, I trust. You're not a person to them. You're a resource. A tool they use when they need you, and put away when they don't. You're 14 when you try to make people care about injustice. House elves. Slaves. Really? Magical creatures who are bound to serve wizarding families, who punish themselves for disobedience, who have no rights and no freedom. You see Dobby and Winky and your Muggleborn heart, your human heart, can't comprehend how everyone just accepts this. It's tradition, Ron says, like, that makes it okay. They like serving, pureblood wizards insist, like that makes it okay. But you've read history. You know what people said about slavery in the Muggle world. The same justifications. The same comfortable lies. So you start SPEW, the Society for the Promotion of Elfish Welfare. You make badges. You collect signatures. You try to organize, to educate, to make people see that slavery is wrong, no matter what you call it. People laugh at you. They think it's cute. Hermione and her little elf project. Ron tells you you're being ridiculous. Harry looks uncomfortable, but doesn't argue. Even Hagrid, kind, gentle, Hagrid, tells you you're going about it the wrong way. You knit hats and leave them in the common room trying to free the Hogwarts elves. The elves stop cleaning Gryffindor Tower. Dobby tells you they're insulted. They don't want freedom, at least not like this. Not forced on them by someone who doesn't understand their culture. You're trying to help. But you're doing it wrong, and no one will tell you how to do it right. Who? Because you're Muggleborn. You're an outsider. And outsiders don't get to change how things work. They just get to be grateful they're allowed to participate. You're 15 when you realize the ministry is corrupt. Dolores Umbridge. Pink cardigans and poisonous smiles. She takes over Hogwarts and immediately starts destroying it. She won't teach defense. She tortures students with blood quills. You watch Harry come back from detention with "I must not tell lies" carved into his hand. You organize Dumbledore's army. You're the one who suggests it, who plans it, who sets up the Galleon communication system. Harry teaches, but you do everything else. You schedule meetings. You keep track of members. You make sure no one gets caught. You're doing the work while Harry gets the credit. But that's okay. That's not why you're doing this. You're doing it because you're terrified. Because the Ministry is denying Voldemort's return. Because you're Muggleborn. And if Voldemort wins, people like you die first. Then Umbridge discovers the DA. She has the list of names. Your name. She's going to expel you. Torture you, maybe. You're 15, and your entire future is about to be destroyed because you tried to help. Harry takes the blame. Dumbledore takes the blame. Somehow, you escape punishment. But you learn. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. And people like you, Muggleborns, outsiders, truth-tellers, are the ones it's designed to crush. You're 16 when you have to choose between your family and your friends. Voldemort is back. I don't know, he's back. Death Eaters are murdering Muggleborns. The war's here. You look at your parents, your kind, normal, completely defenseless parents, and you know, if anyone finds out you're their daughter, they'll be tortured for information and then killed. So you modify their memories. You stand in your childhood home, wand raised, and you erase yourself from their minds. Their daughter, the girl they raised, loved, protected, you delete her like she never existed. You give them new memories, a new life. In Australia, far away from the war. Safe. They won't remember you. Won't remember having a daughter. Won't remember Hermione at all. You do it because you love them. Because it's the only way to keep them safe. But after, you sit in your empty childhood bedroom and you let yourself break. Just once. Just for a moment. Because you're 16 years old. And you just orphaned yourself. You chose magic over family. And now, you have neither. You're 17 when you're on the run. You, Harry, and Ron. Hunting Horcruxes. Living in a tent. Starving. You're the one who packed the tent. Who brought the books. Who planned the protection spells? Who keeps them alive day after day? Ron leaves. He thinks you and Harry are together. He's jealous, angry, scared. You're all those things too. But you don't leave. You stay. You research. You heal Harry when he's injured. You keep moving when all you want to do is collapse. One day, you're caught. Snatchers grab you. They take you to Malfoy Manor. Bellatrix Lestrange tortures you on the drawing room floor. She carves mudblood into your arm with a cursed knife. She screams questions about Gryffindor's sword while you scream in pain. You don't break. You don't tell her anything. You endure. When it's over, when you're rescued, you have a scar on your arm that will never fully fade. The word mudblood carved into your skin forever. A permanent reminder that in the wizarding world you're trying to save. Half the population thinks you're garbage. You're 17 when you fight in the Battle of Hogwarts. You're in the room of requirement when the fiend fire starts. You watch Ron save a life by going back for Goyle. You escape on broomsticks, terrified. You're in the corridors when you see Fred Weasley's body. Ron collapses. You hold him while he breaks. You're there when Harry dies. And when he comes back. And when Voldemort finally falls. You fight. You survive. You win. But the cost is everything. Your childhood home is empty. Your parents don't know you. You have scars on your arm and in your mind that will never fully heal. You survived a war that wasn't supposed to be yours. You fought for a world that calls you mudblood. You sacrifice everything for people who will never fully see you as one of them. You're 19 when you go to Australia. You find your parents. They're living under different names in a different life. Happy, dear, safe. You stand outside their house for 3 hours, trying to decide if you should knock. If you restore their memories, they'll remember you. They'll remember having a daughter, but they'll also remember the war, the danger, the fear. They'll remember that you erased them, that you chose your friends over them. You could give them back their memories, their daughter, their pain, or you could leave them in peace. Let them live the safe, magical free life you gave them. You knock because you're selfish, because you miss your mum, because you need someone to remember that you used to be just Hermione, not Hermione the war hero, not Hermione the Muggleborn, just Hermione. You restore their memories. Your mum cries. Your dad doesn't speak for 3 days. The distance between you is wider now. You can see it in how they look at you, like you're someone they used to know. Like you're a stranger wearing their daughter's face. Saved them. And you lost them. And you're not sure which choice would have hurt less. You're 20 when you finally let yourself feel it. The exhaustion. The anger. The bone-deep resentment. You were 11 years old when you entered a world that didn't want you. That had a slur waiting for you before you even arrived. You worked harder than everyone. Studied longer. Proved yourself over and over and over. You did the research. Solved the problems. Saved the day. And what did you get? Hermione is a nightmare. She's mental. Brightest witch of her age. Said, like it's an apology for all the ways you're difficult. You fought in a war. You were tortured. You sacrificed your family. And after everything, the wizarding world goes right back to how it was. The same blood purity nonsense. The same discrimination. The same comfortable prejudices. You're appointed to the ministry. You fight for reforms. For Muggleborn rights. For house elf welfare. And every single day, you're fighting against people who think you're inferior, who think your ideas are too radical, who tell you to be patient, to wait, to not push so hard. You're tired. You're so tired. You did everything right. You were perfect. You were brilliant. Phew, and it still wasn't enough to make them see you as equal. You're 25 when you finally understand. You were the forgotten daughter. Your Muggle parents forgot you, literally, because you made them. The wizarding world forgot you too. Not with magic, just with indifference. You were the one who did the work, who solved the problems, who kept everyone alive. But you were never the chosen one, never the hero, never the one people wrote songs about. You were just Hermione, the smart friend, the one they needed but didn't particularly want. You gave up your family for a world that still calls you mudblood behind closed doors. You fought for people who will never love you the way you loved them. You sacrificed everything, and your reward is getting to exist in a world that tolerates you, but will never fully accept you. The scar on your arm aches sometimes. The word mudblood carved into your skin. Some days you think about covering it with magic, erasing it, but you don't, because it's honest. It's the truth the wizarding world doesn't want to say out loud. You're brilliant. You're powerful. You're indispensable. But you'll never be one of them. And they'll never let you forget it. You're Hermione Granger, the girl who saved the world and lost herself in the process. The forgotten daughter who did all the work, faced all the danger, and still had to prove she deserved to be remembered. And maybe that's the cruelest part. Even after everything, you're still trying to prove it. Still trying to earn a place in a world that should have welcomed you from the start. Still carrying the weight while everyone else gets to rest. You're still being the smartest person in the room that nobody wants to listen to. You won. You survived. You changed the world. But you're still fighting. Still alone. Still forgotten daughter trying to be seen. And you're starting to wonder, when does the work end? When do you get to rest? The answer, you're learning, is never. Because being the forgotten daughter isn't about what you do. It's about what you are. And no amount of brilliance will ever change that.